Hi, it's Patrick Hutzel from IntensiveCareHotline.com, where we instantly improve the lives for families of critically ill patients in intensive care so that you can have peace of mind, real power, real control, and so that you can influence decision making fast, even if you're not a doctor or a nurse in intensive care. This is another episode of Your Questions Answered, and in last week's episode I answered another question from one of our readers, and the question last week was: my husband of 24 years was in ICU after cardiac arrest and he died. It was horrible, and I think he could have been saved with a more positive intensive care team. You can check out the answer to last week's question by clicking on the link below this video. In this week's episode of Your Questions Answered, I want to answer another question from one of our readers, and the question this week is from Heather, whom I have consulted previously as her partner continued to be in intensive care, and you will see more of her questions being answered over the next few weeks. Previous questions, part 1 and part 2 from Heather, you can find answered by clicking on the links below this video in the written version of this blog. So this week's question from Heather is part 3 of my partner is in intensive care on a ventilator. The intensive care team wants to do a tracheostomy, and while I want to have him extubated, what do I do? So Heather writes: Hi Patrick, thank you for your detailed response. Okay, here's the deal. I have been asking the nurses about the tracheostomy and the PEG deal. The PEG is a percutaneous endoscopic gastrostomy, which in essence is inserted into a patient's tummy for enteral or artificial feeds. How long do they think he'll have it, or even will they stay his physical therapy right away? They all say, oh, I don't know, we don't deal with that part here. Once my partner gets the tracheostomy, he'll be moved to a long-term care facility or an LTAC. My partner did well in the weaning trial today, but their concern is him not following commands, and therefore they are afraid he won't be able to protect his airway constrictions. They won't extubate until his father comes here and explains to him that his windpipe or whatever may be too swollen to re-intubate, and he would have to do a crank or bedside tracheostomy instead. I have read about tracheostomies on your website, and since their concern is about his being able to protect his airways, which is a risk with all extubations. If my partner is passing the weaning trials now, then with the tracheostomy they will be able to see right away if he's able to do that, and they already know whatever it is they know by doing the spontaneous breathing on the ventilator, which he has been doing and passing, just to exercise his lungs, and he should be able to be off the ventilator immediately, really, if it's just about protecting his airway. So I know that the physical therapy of my partner's recovery may be lengthy. Do you think they want to do a tracheostomy simply to just make a bed available? I think he will be able to breathe just like he was before, and he did have his problem even diagnosed, or had even much less diagnosed and has been treated in the past. I hate for them to extubate and then need to re-intubate and have to do the tracheostomy, because I really think he can pass it unless he's fighting too hard to get out of sedation. I truly feel he can do this, but I don't want a life-threatening risk. I also don't want them to perform an unnecessary surgery just so they can pawn him off on another facility. It seems like a Mexican standoff. His dad said no tracheostomy until he tries extubation, and the doctor just letting him sit here and wait, and he doesn't have to have consent to extubate. Last week I was concerned they would extubate him before he had a surgery that he would need to be intubated for, and the surgeon then said it was worse to keep him on a ventilator unnecessarily than to re-intubate for that surgery. Different people have different opinions and say different things, and no one is consistent. The nurse is yelling at me because I think the only risk of the extubation is the same as with every extubation. I realize the risk is greater in my partner's case. Do you think it's too much of a risk? Many thanks, Heather. So that was Heather's question, and now I'm going to respond to her. Hi Heather. Congratulations that the nurses keep yelling at you. Seriously, it shows that you are standing your ground, because it looks like the nurses know they are dealing with someone who's standing their ground, and you are fighting for what you believe in. Well done. Don't let the doctors or the nurses intimidate you, no matter what. 2 related articles that you need to check out as it relates to intimidation and being perceived too demanding. The first article or video you need to check out is the 5 reasons why you need to be difficult and demanding when your loved one is critically ill in intensive care. And the other article and video you should check out is how to stop being intimidated by the intensive care team and how you will be seen as equals. You can find the links to the videos below this video in the written version of this blog. Next, I do strongly believe that they need to do a trial extubation. The way they can do this is by deflating or taking the air out of the balloon that blocks the breathing tube, and find out whether there is air bypassing the tube and if your partner can breathe when the air has been let down. That's a sign that they can at least do a trial extubation. I do strongly believe that one of their reasons why they do want to perform a tracheostomy is to free up their beds. But in order to really find out, you have to confront them. Ask them the questions directly. You know you need to ask them and then gauge their reaction. This is your only way to get peace of mind, control, power and influence quickly. The fact of the matter is that once your partner has the tracheostomy and will be moved to a long-term care facility, you don't know how long he'll be there. If he gets extubated and moved out of intensive care, his hospital stay as well as his intensive care stay will be minimized big time. Long-term care facilities are what the name implies. They are long-term care. I would imagine you want your partner out of hospital as quickly as possible. Performing a tracheostomy and going on to long-term care may well mean big bucks for the hospital, whereas extubating and leaving an expensive ICU bed may mean no big bucks for the hospital. I'm not in a position to diagnose from a distance, but you need to have a heightened awareness of what may be going on behind the scenes, and by you becoming more difficult and demanding, you may well get what you want. Never do what other people do, because you'll get what other people will get. On the other hand, a tracheostomy may well be the right thing to do, as they may be able to take him off the ventilator relatively quickly. Again, I can't diagnose from a distance. However, you need to be clear of what you want and what you know is in the best interest for your partner. I would still strongly argue for a trial extubation first, and then do a tracheostomy if he fails. Again, airway swelling can be checked by deflating the breathing tube balloon and finding out whether he can bypass the tube and breathe spontaneously. The other question, Heather, is why is your partner not obeying commands? Is there something else going on? A prolonged hospital or intensive care stay is making people more likely to not wake up. But why is your partner not waking up? I really hope that helps, Heather, and please let me know if I can assist you further in this challenge. You should also check out a couple of other related articles and videos. Number one is how long does it take to wake up after an induced coma? And what could be the cause if my critically ill loved one is removed from an induced coma but still hasn't woken up? Again, you find the links to the videos and the articles below this video. So, thanks again, Heather, and please let me know if I can assist you further in this challenge. You're also providing a lot of value to other families in intensive care, Heather, by staying strong and encouraging them to stand their ground and by doing your own research. Take care. So, how can you get peace of mind, control, power and influence quickly whilst your loved one is critically ill in intensive care? You get to that all-important feeling of peace of mind, control, power and influence when you download your free instant impact report now by entering your email below. In your free instant impact report, you learn quickly how to get peace of mind, real power and real control, and how you can influence decision making fast whilst your loved one is critically ill in intensive care. Your free instant impact report gives you in-depth insight that you must know whilst your loved one is critically ill or is even dying in intensive care. Sign up and download your free instant impact report now by entering your email below. In your free instant impact report, you learn how to speak the secret intensive care language so that the doctors and the nurses know straight away that you are an insider and that you know and understand what's really happening in intensive care. In your free report, you will also discover how to ask the doctors and the nurses the right questions. Discover the many competing interests in intensive care and how your critically ill loved one's treatment may depend on those competing interests. How you can eliminate fear, frustrations, stress, struggle and vulnerability even if your loved one is dying. You get 5 mind-blowing tips and strategies helping you to get on the right path to peace of mind, control, power and influence in your situation. How to stop being intimidated by the intensive care team and how you will be seen as equals. You'll get crucial behind the scenes insight so that you know and understand what's really happening in intensive care and how you need to manage doctors and nurses in intensive care, and it's not what you think. Thank you for tuning into this week's episode of Your Questions Answered, and I'll see you again in another update next week. Make sure you also check out our blog section for more tips and strategies, or send me an email to support@intensivecarehotline.com with your questions. Or you can call us. Find our phone number on our contacts tab. Also, check out our product section where you get more ebooks, videos and audio recordings, and where you can also get one-on-one consulting with me via Skype or over the phone by clicking on the Products tab. This is Patrick Hutzel from IntensiveCareHotline.com, and I'll see you again next week in another update.